Greetings, adult collectors. I am Crash the Customizer, and welcome to another custom Transformers showcase. This is my custom Transformers animated Sentinel Prime. This figure is probably one of the coolest customs I've made so far for animated, and it's actually one that my original idea didn't really work because I was originally going to try to get a movie Ironhide because it transformed into like a truck. But for one thing, getting one of those is like way too expensive. It'd be almost as expensive as actually buying the original Sentinel Prime figure. So, since that wasn't going to work, I thought, well, okay, I'll get a Voyager movie Ratchet. Well, that thing was way too big because the vehicle mode was totally out of scale with the other animated figures. And then, even to get him to kind of halfway scale with his fellow Autobots, I had to kind of like bend his legs. That it was terrible. It did not work. So this is actually a reactivate Bumblebee that I saw in my local Walmart. I thought that might kind of work, and this turned out perfect. So of course I had to add a few things to kind of make him a little more like Sentinel Prime. I actually took this piece off and like broke off the pieces that were inside here that attached it, and just kind of glued it on like this so it doesn't actually move. This is one piece now. And then of course I added my typical posable fingers and of course the posable thumb like I do with all my figures. I added these little things here that of course become snowplow things at the front, and then they just kind of hinge like this on this little Lego hinge piece, because this whole thing here is made out of Lego pieces, because this here is one of these pieces that I just cut in half, and then I cut another one in half so it could go with this one, and then I put it on a standard 1x2 plate and this little hinge piece, and then I took part of this that I had, stuck it on here, and stuck those little flat studs so that it'll actually create that. And I use these little like double cheese wedge pieces to kind of give it the little, like, you know, not really look like it's made of Lego, just kind of give it more of a flatter look. And then one of these little sideways grill pieces, so that allows the actual look of the little snowplow at the front, which I do find kind of funny that Sentinel Prime actually has for his vehicle mode a snowplow when he didn't even know what rain was. So there's no way he's going to know what snow is. So I find that very funny. They transforms into a vehicle that plows snow when there's probably a pretty good chance Sentinel Prime doesn't even know what snow is. I find that really funny. I don't know if that was actually intentional that they did it like that, but I do find that kind of funny. So I was able to actually make his weapons as well, and I think how this turned out is really cool. So then on the back you open up these little door wings and you unclip this section here that clips in this little Lego clip piece I glued right here. Let's close this back up. So then we have the whole shield and lance. You just pull the lance out. Now this lance piece, this whole section here is a Lego, and I took a little bit of tape and went around so it'll be a little tighter in the hand. But this whole section here that makes the actual lance is one of my paintbrushes I use. I just cut part of the paintbrush off and then just hot glued it into the Lego piece to make this little lance piece. And then the shield is also made from Lego pieces. This whole section is one of those little Lego satellite pieces. And then I just painted it to look like the little shield design. I took some of these Lego spike pieces, glued them here, and painted them. And then these are actually like the Lego tooth pieces. I just kind of cut part of them off so they don't kind of angle in, so they kind of have this more of a spiky look. And then I used this piece. This has a little handle like this, and then I of course put a jumper plate to go make this actually fit on there, and it's all glued together. It don't come apart. And what's really cool is the design for this piece here actually works perfectly for my hands that I make for the figure, because it just perfectly slides in and actually makes where you can hold it. And of course these hands are just made from those droid arms that actually wouldn't work with the little clips, but when I cut the clips off, I can actually stick this in here. It slides just perfectly into there, and then you can actually have him hold the shield. And then the little lance piece, just so it fits in there just by the extra tape I put on the piece there. You just kind of get it to go right there, and there we go. Now we have Sentinel Prime holding his weapons. And that looks pretty cool. So now we're bringing some comparisons. Here he is with his best bud, Optimus. We all know they're not really friends anymore. Here he is with Prowl. Here he is with his former recruits, Bulkhead and Bumblebee. Here he is with his deceptive recruit, Longarm. And here he is with his former prisoners, Lugnut and Blitzwing. And last but certainly not least, Megatron. Now, being a deluxe, he is a little shorter than most of the figures, but if I would have had even the original figure, he still would have been shorter than Prime. So this honestly isn't too bad. I feel like this kind of works. And I mean, you can always kind of bend them at the level so you can like have them look like they're arguing. So I mean, being the deluxe does kind of make it just a tad shorter, but like I said, if I had the original figure, he still would be just a little shorter than the others anyway. So I feel like having a deluxe actually does kind of work really well for Sentinel Prime. And this robot mode actually looks really, really cool. One other detail I forgot to mention is the chin here. You get the camera to focus here. This chin piece is molded from Play-Doh. I just molded it and then I hot glued it on, and of course painted it to kind of give it the Sentinel Prime look. I didn't really do other than that with the head. I mean, I painted this little section orange and then of course painted these things gray. But I mean, I really kept most of the head the way it was, just added the chin mostly. And it does really look like Sentinel Prime. I even was able to put the little Elite Guard Autobot symbol on them instead of having your standard Autobot symbol. So now, time to get into the transformation. First thing we need to do, we need to take his weapons off here. We're going to combine them. Just gonna take them and put them right here. So then we got the shield and the lance back together like this. Get it. There we go. We got that. So then we're going to take his hands and basically make a fist. So then we're going to take these sections and just fold them down, or fold them up like this. We're just looking just like that. Lower the camera just a tad here. There we go. See what I'm doing here a little better. Alright, so then we're going to open up these little door sections here, have them just like this. And then we're going to take this whole chest section, untab it from right here. And then take this section of the chest. It's kind of hard to see. Okay, here we go. So just take this section of the chest, pull it away from the back section here. It's kind of hard to do. Just got to get things to. There we go. Just got to get it to on a tab here. So I do this. Basically, went looking like this, and then we're going to unattach this section to the back of his head. Fold his head down, and then take this whole section and pull on this so that it brings this section up like this. It's a very involved transformation. I really do like how this transformation works for this figure. So then we're going to take this section here, and we're going to bring it down, bring this section here down, so it's like this. And we're going to take this section, you gotta bring this down a little more so we can push this create the front of the vehicle, and then we tab this together so we create the whole hood section here. Then we're going to take his head, fold it in so it goes right underneath the bottom section here. Then we're going to take this and tab it in right here, so it tabs in the roof of the car together. So then we're going to take the legs and just kind of fold in his waist here. Then we need to open up this section here on this little hinge so that we can fold this section in. Do the same on this side, just unattach the hinge here, fold this section in, I'll tab in right there. I'll rotate his foot around this way, and then basically just kind of collapse it into the leg here. Just rotate the foot, collapse it in, and we basically take this whole assembly. I find it easier to just kind of put these like this for now. Then we're just going to get this section in line here. Just got this little tab that'll go right here and hold this together here. And then you take this section of his leg, fold it in, and then it'll tab in right here. It's lined up right. There we go. We'll do the other leg, fold it in, get it lined up so it goes in the tab. Then we're going to take this section here and we're going to rotate his arms. We need to rotate the arms at the bicep so they come just like this. And do the same on this side. Rotate the arm, rotate the bicep so that's facing in. So we're going to take his arms and just kind of fold them into the little bottoms of the vehicle here. We're going to rotate these in, kind of position them, they line up. So get them, there we go, and then just kind of fold them at the hinge a little bit so they line up just like that. Make sure everything's in place. Just gotta get these. And then now we can tab in the doors here. So we got that going on. So it's starting to look like something. Just gotta get things to kind of line up just right. Just want to turn this way a little more. There we go. Trying to get those to line up. It's sometimes kind of hard because these don't actually tab together. So it's there's going to be kind of a gap less so you can get it just right. There we go. I guess about as good as I can get it. So then we're going to take this section here and it'll just tab in right here. And I did actually cut the tabs over here because it was just like way too difficult to line them up. So I just kept it where it only has the tab that goes in here. I find that a lot easier. And I did actually have to cut off part of this section down here because I wasn't going to be able to roll adding some of this thing, like all this stuff to it. So I had to kind of cut off some sections of it. But just kind of tab in sections here. And there we have Sentinel Prime in his vehicle mode. Lower the camera just a little bit. And one final touch is to take the slip it into this. And there we go. Now we have the full-on look of Sentinel Prime. Because actually having this makes it just like the original toy. You could actually stick this little sword, or actually stick his shield and lance right on top of the vehicle. And this figure I really feel like turned out pretty well, actually. I mean, despite this actually being a Bumblebee, I think this really does actually work really well for a Sentinel Prime. I did add these Lego tires to actually kind of make the vehicle just a little more bulky with the tires, so it'll kind of work a little better. Of course, it also helps with the roll, since I added this whole section here. But that's really about all I really did with the vehicle mode. I mean, of course, I painted it with your standard Sentinel Prime blue and orange. It's a little bit of gray. In the vehicle mode, technically this symbol here should be right here, but I had to kind of have it in a neutral place so that when he's in robot mode, you can still see it. And then if I had like two here, it'd look a little odd, like one here, one here. But yeah, I think this figure turned out pretty well, especially in the vehicle mode. I really like how this vehicle mode looks. Well, like I was saying earlier, though, I don't really see why he actually has a snowplow, because he doesn't even know what snow is, but hey, whatever. One thing I do have a problem with is getting this to stay in. Even when I had the other tabs, it didn't want to stay in. I even tried to put a little hot glue in here and try to make maybe or go in a little better, and it still didn't seem to work. So these tend to want to pop out a lot easily, but I mean, they pop right back in. So that's one issue I do kind of have with the figure. Maybe it's just the one I got just didn't have very good tabs. I don't know, but I just find that kind of annoying sometimes. But he does roll pretty well. It does kind of scrape a little bit. You can kind of hear the scraping a little, but stay in. But yeah, I mean, I think it turned out pretty good. Now we're bringing in some comparisons. So here he is with Optimus. It does kind of have, I mean, the right scale in vehicle mode. Bring in, and then here he is with Bulkhead and Bumblebee. And last, here he is with Prowl. It's time to get back into his robot mode. So to do that, first thing we need to do is remove the weapon assembly here. And then you start by opening up the doors. Come on, open up. There we go. Untab this section here, which this one does it anyway. And then going to untab legs here. So tab arm here. Of course, we unfold the legs. And then going to flip his foot down, rotate it around this way. Flip this whole section here of the wheel into here, and in turn, while you do that, it'll push out this little knee spike thing. Which is kind of cool little feature there, like a little automorph gimmick there. So then take this, just kind of collapse it down, and it'll just tap right into place. So then we just got to kind of lift them up like this, turn them this way so you can see what I'm doing here. We're going to untab his arms here, just kind of get them where they're splayed out like this. And then you can totally do this and have this weird thing going on. Anyway, okay. So then we're going to basically unfold all of this section. First thing we need to do is unfold the front of the car here, bring up this piece, and then we'll untab the roof section here, which can be kind of hard to do. It's hard to get a grip on anything. There we go. So untab the roof, and then lift this section up, and it'll flip the whole head assembly up. Then we take his chest and just fold it over this section here. Get everything to kind of get in position here. And then it'll tab into this little section on the waist here, just like that. So then we take this section here, push it in, and then untab his head here. Untap this back part of his head, or untab the back of his little neck area. And then there's a little tab in right here, kind of hold his head in place. So then we need to work on getting his shoulders and his arms figured out. So then rotate his arms at the bicep here, and then fold his arms down, fold these sections down, just kind of position his arms right, and then open up his hands. And then just kind of fold his door wings back a little bit, and then we're going to clip his sword and shield right in this little clip right here. I keep wanting to call this a sword. This is a lance. But so clip his lance and shield back here, and then just kind of wrap the door wings around there like that. Holds it in place. And there we have Sentinel Prime back in his robot mode. This figure really, I feel like, turned out pretty well. I mean, it does really look like Sentinel Prime. Of course, obviously, like, there's had to be a few differences to make this figure actually work, because technically, like, these should be, like, more right here in the front. But honestly, I think this kind of does work. Since it is a Legacy, it doesn't have to be an exact replica. And really, if they were to make a Legacy figure of this character, honestly, I feel like this is how it actually would look. This actually looks pretty good for Sentinel Prime. So that's pretty much it for this video. There's now a link in the description that will take you to the playlist of all my other animated customs. I do have more customs on the way, so like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of those. Until next time, this is Crash the Customizer, out.
Well, look who it is, the great Optimus Prime. What do you want, Sentinel? I'm here to check on you and make sure you haven't turned any more Autobots into organics like you did Alita. That wasn't my fault. It was your idea to go to Argus 7 to retrieve the Energon. Yeah, but it was your idea to leave her behind. Because I thought she was dead. How was I to know she became a techno-organic? Just don't let that happen again, Optimus. The last thing we need are more Autobots turned into filthy organics. Not all organics are bad, Sentinel. Yeah, whatever. Organic lover. Jerk.